Hi, guys. Welcome to Riding the Bench. Or welcome back, I should say. This is our fourth episode. Very exciting.
Cheers! Hi. Today we're doing a little happy hour edition
It's
because
Friday.
it's Friday
Why
and we're
not?
tired, and this was like a week from hell. Was it okay for you?
It felt very hectic. So I'm really happy it's Friday.
Hectic. That's like a very nice PG word for what I felt.
Fucking chaos.
Pretty much. Pretty much. So I need this chat and I need this beer.
Awesome. So we have a really fun topic for today. My dog has joined us. Today, we're talking about the return of Unrivaled. Rosters were revealed for season 2, and it's official. This thing is not a side project anymore. Unrivaled is very real. Excuse you, no.
I'm going to read my line. Last year was proof of concept. Now it's proof of growth. Unrivaled blew past its first year projection, secured major investments, and is now valued at $340 million. It was a great line written by my co-host over there, Andrea. Thank you so much.
I
But
like us to be somewhat organized so we don't miss any critical details,
also, can
but
we give a shout out to Andrea? Look how cute, you guys.
we
Look,
love a branding moment.
this is adorable. And it's like, we can write up plays that we don't know what we're talking about. Anyway, yes, Unrivaled is a crazy success story, and I'm super excited to get into it.
Yeah. So we're going to kind of break down like what Unrivaled is in case you don't know. I hope you do, but if you don't, we'll give you a little like brief overview on what Unrivaled is, why its success matters. Because that's what we do here. We're here to talk about like the why and the story as opposed to like flooding you with stats.
Yes.
And what it tells us about the future of sort of athlete led and female led sports leagues because Unrivaled unrivaled success has created a very clear blueprint that others are trying to kind of mirror and follow to an extent and create additional income streams for female athletes. So, would you like to kind of break down for us just sort of give us a little overview of what Unrivaled is?
Okay. It's a spin-off women's basketball league that was born who are she's a big deal. Brianna Stewart is also incredibly huge in the league and an all-star, like MVP candidate pretty much every single year. It was founded by them too. They obviously architected this as like a very player mindset because obviously that's what they do. So it's been a very unique take on a league expansion. It's also a different model. So it's a 3x3. It's a 3-on-3 player model, which is definitely different than the WNBA, which is a 5-on-5. It's also domestically based. I think we'll get into this, but I think the advantage there is that these players don't feel the need to unnecessarily go overseas to collect more money because their salaries are shit in the WNBA. So it was just like a really brilliant way to architect this. It's also there's a ton of benefits which we can get into later, but for the players themselves. But it's just like a really smart way to architect this in a way that like was really beneficial for honestly everyone. Everyone wins in this league.
From a format standpoint, they also created something that was like unique and different from the WNBA. Previously, players would be going overseas to generate that additional income stream for themselves in the off season, but sort of a unique component of this is that it is a 3-on-3 league like you mentioned. They also layer in other contests like they did a one-on-one competition, things like that like really kind of like beef it up. And the pace of it is very fast. So it's like a very fun point of entry even for new fans that weren't necessarily engaged with the WNBA, but it's sort of like a portal for them because it's almost like game show style in a way. I think they found a way to like really make it fun and interesting and engaging from a fan perspective.
It's also garnered different fans. I think because of the format, it's been really interesting for lots of different people to be attracted to it. It feels new and different. It's kind of fun to see like a 3-on-3 format with women specifically because it really puts like a magnifying glass on like their style of play, which is like really cool to see that you wouldn't otherwise see. So I feel like it's drawn people to see and be attracted to the game in a like more expanded way. One of our we call him a silent producer here at Writing the Bench, is Andrea's boyfriend, Adam. We're gonna get him to come on, but he's a huge Unrivaled fan, and like I've even learned a lot through him, honestly, and just like following the game, and so it's been really fun to kind of like see his I don't know, obsession with Unrivaled in a very like different way, I would say, than even mine. So it's just like a testament to like it's working, the expansion's working, and it's like it's not cannibalistic. I think that's what's
No.
been really cool to see is that like it's truly like added value as opposed to been a distraction from the W. Mhm. Mhm. Impressed. Yeah. I mean, it was pretty seamless. It was pretty incredible, like how successful it really was, just from an operations perspective, from a financial perspective, from a run of show perspective, from a talent exposure, the follow on effects of like the fandom that's built up for these players throughout that experience of their first inaugural season to follow on to the WNBA season. I mean, it was really like masterfully architected.
100%. I mean, there were just like so many positive takeaways and like very clear proof of demand. I mean, they had set their kind of revenue expectations. I'd have to look it up, but I want to say it was like
Like valuation or revenue expectations or both.
season 1 revenue.
I know that they blew it away, so we'll fact check what that was exactly, but it's outpacing their expectations and they're growing faster than obviously expected for season 2, which is why it's so exciting to see the expansion this year and see what those team expansions look like, which we will also get into. We're going to do a hot take. I'm going to get Andrea's take on the unrivaled teams that were just announced this week so that you guys can bandwagon or sort of rally against whatever she roots for.
Okay, so I'm gonna give you the facts
Okay.
here. I've got
Okay.
my handy dandy phone out.
Okay.
Unrivaled's first season revenue was approximately $30 million, which was double the initial projection. This success
Wow.
contributed to a recent valuation of 340 million, driven by strong media rights with TNT and corporate sponsorships with companies like Sephora, Ally, and Under Armour.
So that's only a 10x rev projection or valuation,
Mhm.
interestingly.
The lead they're essentially using their initial revenue results outpacing their forecast so significantly, to accelerate their growth plan. So initially they didn't intend to expand team, like expand into more teams and roster spots until season 3, and they
Yeah.
did it. This season, season 2, they went from 6 teams to 8 teams.
Right. And each squad has 6 players.
6
So
players.
it's gone from 36 total roster spots across the full league to now 48, which is pretty incredible.
They also impact and future plans. Strong revenue performance has allowed the league to move up its growth timeline, excuse me, a 5-year, they were initially on a 5-year plan. They've accelerated it to a 3-year plan. They're expanding it was isolated to one geographic region last year. Everything happened in Miami. And they're going to add a second season. They're going to do a stop in Philadelphia this year.
Oh, they're going to do 2 locations.
2 locations. Yeah,
Oh.
but it's like the bulk of the season will
And
continue to
then
be in Miami.
postseason, I wonder how they'll break it up.
Yeah, I'm unclear on that part, but,
Because
that's kinda
I'm just planning my trip.
no, exactly. We'll be there on a field trip.
Hell yeah. Do you want to go
So
to Miami or Philadelphia or both?
Miami. Vegas on the beach.
I guess it's a perfect time to go too because it's winter.
It's winter.
We
I
didn't mention this, but like the season is cool because it's truncated and it's obviously between seasons. So,
You
it
could go for 3 days and get, like, a full
yeah, and a
experience,
very immersive experience.
a
But
very immersive
it
experience.
runs from January to March, so it's pretty short. So also a huge benefit because these players were previously going to, and again I keep saying this, but I'm sure we'll get into this in more detail. But the players were previously, like, having to go to Europe, to play and Europe minimally to play overseas so that they could collect a paycheck outside of the WNBA because, again, their pay
Shit.
salary is for shit. So this is just a nice stopgap for them. And also worth mentioning, there's just so much to unpack here. Starting salary, the average salary for this was also a success. And you know what? We didn't say this before, but the average salary in Unrivaled is north of $200,000, which like is still like unacceptable for the level of elite athleticism across these players. But anyway, it's still more than double what they're getting in the WNBA, and it is the most. I This is true. It is the highest paying league in all of women's sports, which is, by the way.
So I did put that in my outline.
Okay, she did. I have trouble reading.
I do like that you go off script. It makes
Feels like keeping on your
the
toes.
conversation a little bit more passionate. So basically, the next segment that we were going to dig into is like why the WNBA like still isn't enough. Like obviously we've given you a little bit of a breakdown of what Unrivaled is. It was essentially founded so that players didn't need to leave home to supplement their income because their pay is such shit in the W. So, and like honestly, to be clear, the W isn't broken. It's growing. It's just structurally limited right now. And that's why the CBA negotiations that are happening right now are really, really critical to establishing a better baseline for the players. There are huge, but ultimately there are big limitations because there are still only 12 teams in the W. 13?
13 now.
13 now with
And
Valkyries.
then next year there'll be 14.
There will be 14. So there's limited roster spots, there are salary cap challenges, and they're comparatively low. And so Unrivaled is essentially offering higher average salaries in their initial season. In their initial season, the reported average salary was $222,000. The like veteran max contract right now is around 250. I think like 278 is
Mm.
kind of like the max contract.
Mhm.
So for context, for 2 months of your time playing in a 3-on-3 league, you can earn the equivalent of a veteran maximum salary in the W and have equity in the league. So,
I wonder if the salaries are going up at all or if that was a contract over a number of years. I can't remember.
oh yeah, Google
Uh,
away.
I'm checking it right now. The numbers have increased for the upcoming season. Specific new averages or minimums have not yet been publicly detailed.
Okay, so we TBD. Um,
Well, that's cool.
yeah,
As I said, and they'll also obviously earn more via equity.
no, 100%. And I think like it's hugely motivating for the players to want to participate because one, they can stay local in the United States, which gives them access to other brand partnerships and things that they might, already have going. So they can continue to build their personal brands here and they have that alternative income stream. And one thing that I think would be impossible to gloss over, it's been so common for players to go overseas and play, particularly in Russia and Turkey. But I think there's like a fear element after what happened with Brittany Griner.
Mhm.
And there was a really big motivation on the players'
Wait, for
part.
people who don't know, can you explain what that means?
Yes. So Brittany Griner is a veteran in the WNBA, and she was playing in the offseason in Russia, and she was arrested and detained and essentially imprisoned in a Russian gulag for having cannabis oil in her luggage. So I think
During the pandemic?
during pandemic, yeah. So I think like for us Californians, we're like, that's so dumb, like cannabis oil, like whatever. But like Russia is like an entirely different beast and this is illegal. So like there was like a hostage negotiation, like prisoner swap, like Biden, like our
Yeah,
president
Biden.
had to like negotiate her
Yeah,
release.
yeah.
So she's back in the United States now, but she was there for a year plus, like
Yep, yep, yep.
in a Russian prison. And so I think her circumstances and like what happened to her really did create like a fear element for a lot of the players. And so there being alternatives for them and their ability to generate that off-season income to supplement their WNBA salary that's terrible. Like I hate saying low-hanging fruit, but, like, it was some low-hanging fruit, like, why can't we have something here, like and it doesn't exist, so, like, of course, women were gonna be like, "Excuse me while I build it."
Yeah. They were just so mindful of what the players needed, obviously because they're on the ground floor and like experience it on a daily basis. But I just think it's so cool to see them do it because you've said this a million times, Andrea, but like most of these teams are assembled or bought out or managed by, billionaire men. And so it's real and like some of them are great, but a lot of them are not. And they're certainly not close to the players and the players' needs and what like makes a league like thrive on that level. So I think having this, designed by these two women who just like are so close to what the needs are of their like peer players. It's just like so cool to see.
Mhm.
There's so many benefits beyond just the salary that like go with it. Like the equity package is really amazing. The amenities, almost the anemones reminds me of like Finding Nemo. The amenities for parents, mothers, childcare resources. Like it's really well done, and so I think that that's really cool because it's just all the more reason to keep the game here and keep it thriving and expanded here.
100%. So, because Unrivaled has seen so much fan appetite and such a high initial evaluation. I mean, for context, you have Serena Ventures, Warner Brothers Discovery, and TNT investing in like a big TV deal there, Tribe Ventures, you know, all of this really, really, really fast and elevated growth. It's almost like there's a trend toward these player led leagues. So we have Unrivaled, Project B, Athletes Unlimited. They're sort of disrupting the traditional sports models. What's your interpretation of these other leagues? Do you think they're going to cannibalize each
Yeah.
other? How do you see this playing out long term?
I don't know. Like when I heard about this Project B thing crop up, I was sort of like worried about it because, and I don't know, like I still feel like I'm learning. I think we're both learning a lot about the intricacies of professional sports and league expand and just like all of the nuances that go on the business side of managing these leagues and like especially at this like high growth stage for women's sports, it's sort of like uncharted territory, I think. Like so when I learned about these leagues, it's exciting because I feel like the game is expanding in theory and like from like optically that just is what it looks like, but I also worry that like the W is gonna like I just want to I think it's simultaneously like really exciting and great overall expansion because it'll just be so many different types of eyeballs on the game like globally, but also not that that didn't exist but like on a bigger global scale, but then also I think this is a like we've talked about this a lot, but the CBA negotiations are happening. This is a huge inflection and tipping point for W specifically, and I'm obviously really invested in the W
Yeah.
at this point. So I want it to thrive and I want it to be the like main source of truly like income and like livelihood for these players so that they're not having to work so hard to you know augment their salary with all these different leagues. It, to, sorry, I digress. To answer your question, is it cannibalistic? I think like Project B might I think at some point yes. I do think it's a rising tide raises all ship, but I do think that it's helping with the negotiations. It's helping because all eyes are on the game right now and on the sport and women's sports in general having like this huge like moment. So I think it allows them to negotiate in a way that like will want to motivate the W to make the most of this deal right now so that they're not left behind. But I think Unrivaled's pretty protected. I do. I think Unrivaled because it's like the 3-on-3 model. The players are so bought into this. It's domestic, it's off season, it's truncated season. Like there's so much about the design of it that I think has lasting power.
It almost feels like participating in a game show as opposed to
Yeah, it's just like
like
it's like low lift for them in a way. Granted, you're still opening yourself up, obviously, like to potential injury and stuff, but which honestly, arguably, was a contributing factor to last. I don't know, like could have been a contributing factor to last season because there was a crazy level of injury that didn't happen the year prior. But anyway, I think Unrivaled will continue to be great. I'm curious to see how the rest of these like expansion leagues will play out. I also think it's just a good learning for other women's sports leagues to like really understand what this is going to do and like how this like test case or this this very successful, like, what's the word? Not an experiment, but like this proof, the proof of this like successful inaugural first season of Unrivaled and then their fast growth, how that's going to parlay into other female leagues. I'm really curious to see how that will go.
No, 100%, and I agree with what you said on the formation of these leagues does apply some pressure to the W,
Mhm,
because
mhm.
I think something that we've discussed as it pertains to the CBA negotiations is really that we're at an inflection point with the league where there is undeniable growth. And sorry, my dog is here with us, and
Her dog's not a dog. It's
he's
like
like
a
100
bear.
pounds and a bear, but he is here joining us today. Hi, honey. um, anyway, I think that pressure has been applied to the W in the sense that all of these other leagues are forming. The players are showing that they have other opportunities to generate income, like that they don't really need the W necessarily for money.
Exactly.
Everyone wants to play in the W. So it's kind of like the ball's in their court, but then the flips to, meet the moment, give the players the revenue share that they're asking for, give them the salary increases that they're asking for. But then on the flip side of that argument, there's also, a history with the W where interest expands and contracts, expands and contracts. And so it's almost like the league it's like a risk aversion approach where they're just like,
Mhm.
wait a second, but what if the interest contracts again? And then from like a financial modeling standpoint, like we literally cannot
Yeah, we bit
afford
off
to
more than we could
operate.
chew. Yeah.
And so there's kind of both sides of the argument happening at the same time. I mean, I think that the interest is here to stay. And a lot of my thinking and the rationale there is rooted in the expansion of NIL in college sports and the way women have proven to be so much more marketable and savvy than their male counterparts in terms of leveraging NIL to their benefit. I think that is a big part of what has fueled this growth. And I feel like every season we've had like a groundbreaking rookie enter the league that has a huge platform already and doesn't have to essentially establish it for themselves. I feel like the busiest or the most packed Sparks games we would go to were Fever and Dallas.
Mhm. Absolutely.
And that's
And
all
yeah.
built on rookie interest in rookies.
Yeah, 100%. I think too the players are gonna dictate a lot of this. I think, like, I'm just thinking through because I think, like, Stewie and Nafisa did such a good job building this league, and I feel like the players are really bought into it, but there are a lot that aren't. Like, it's not a big league. It was 36 players last
Right.
year, and now it's 48, which is great. But there's still a lot of really big name players that aren't participating in it, and that's fine. Like they don't necessarily need that level of participation at this point. But what I'm curious to see is like how those players like sort of expand themselves. So like NECA, I do think is like a really interesting test case. Like she just signed with Project B, and so I think the players are gonna and like the starting salary for Project B is $2 million.
I was going to say, had they disclosed it yet, but I
Yeah,
guess they have.
allegedly.
Worth mentioning that this is a Saudi backed league,
Yeah,
though.
yeah. But, like, a lot of athletes, a lot of professional athletes are backing it, like, even tennis players, like, Djokovic was one of them. Like, there's a lot of people that are
The Saudis are investing a lot in women's sports. I mean, they've made big investments in the WTA, and it's been like a kind of controversial topic. So this is an interesting
uh,
thing because are we ever going to be able to compete with the kind of money that
exactly,
the public investment fund,
exactly.
the Saudi
And
public
that to
investment
me
fund
is
is
such a
throwing at sports?
bummer, an attack on the W. Not an attack on the W, but it's time for the W to fucking wake up and be
Oh,
like
yeah.
and granted, I know that there's so many intricacies and nuances that make this hard, but, like, when you have all these people throwing so much money at the problem and trying to scale this global league, I do worry about the talent it's gonna rip away because, like, why wouldn't it? Why
Why
wouldn't
wouldn't
it?
it? It's you have such a short runway as an athlete to earn.
Exactly. And the season's longer, by the way. It goes from November. Its inaugural season's gonna be next November. So I think 2026 is gonna be a really interesting year because there's gonna be all three. I forget when Upshot also launches, which is in like secondary markets, but I feel like that's less of a threat. But for 2026, like that's a long season. They're going from November to April. That's a long season. That's basically the opposite of the W, right? So I just don't know if it's sustainable to actually play those back to
You would
back.
have to immediately go into training camp
Yeah.
because
And that's
W
what they were doing overseas. I don't know actually how long all
W
of this
launches in May.
exactly.
Yeah.
So I just don't know that players can just like in practice actually play that long from it's basically from November all the way to September.
Yeah, yeah. No.
It's an 11-month season, and I just think that that's, like, incredibly hard. The point is that, like, what bums me out is that, like, no the W isn't enough, and that's, like, the whole theme of this, right? Like, the
Yeah.
W is just not enough, and women's sports really needs to get to a place where their professional sport that they're spending the majority of their energy and focus and time on is, like, paying them what they fucking deserve.
No, 100%. And I think tennis is a really interesting counterpart to this because tennis has really been sort of a champion of pay equity. It's certainly imperfect and there are events where the men still earn more than the women, but there are
Really?
also
Which
events where
like, a
there's
lot of events? Various other
yes. I mean, I would need to check on
the majors are all
French and
obviously.
Wimbledon. I think US Open is equitable, but some of them because the men play best of 5 at the majors, the argument and there was huge controversy around court placements and things like that because the men play 5 sets. But tennis has ultimately been like a pretty big champion of pay equity on the women's side and like the top tier athletes for the WTA, like they really are earning a lot by virtue of their tournament wins, but it's an 11-month season. And that's a huge point of controversy for the players, especially because there are mandatory
I just
tournaments,
checked it. All Grand Slams are equal, but there are other tournaments.
other tournaments that are not. Yeah. It didn't used to be that way, though. It's relatively new that they're all equitable.
Well, wasn't that Billie Jean King's the whole thing?
Yeah, and Billie Jean King has been an amazing champion for pay
Yeah.
equity, and that's a big part of why tennis has sort of been at the forefront, especially when you've had hugely marketable stars in the
Yeah,
sport,
yeah, yeah.
Serena Williams, Maria Sharapova, over the years, and that doesn't even take into consideration, the stars of today. So tennis has been a champion for pay equity, but it's an absurdly long season. And there are mandatory events all year. They're in the tour finals right now. It is November 7th. They aren't over. So the season is going to end like this weekend, basically.
Mhm.
It starts again in January.
That's an 11-month.
It's an 11-month season.
Yeah.
So it's like they're back training in December for the following season. So
Yeah.
there is this level of
They also earn a
absurdity.
shit ton more
They do.
than the W.
They do, 100%. But I think there is a level of absurdity that you should have to like grind as an athlete 11 months out of the year just to like maximize your earning potential in the, let's say, average 10-year lifespan
Yeah.
of a professional athlete. I think that's really like where part of that controversy stems from is like, okay, like, should they really like, similar to what we talked about in our inaugural episode on mental health. The fans are really praising the longevity of these players' careers, but by putting them in situations that subject them to this much play and risk for injury and for mental health challenges, you're essentially subjecting them to so much risk
Yeah.
also and
Yeah.
like lack of career longevity. So it's like pick your poison.
Yeah. Exactly. Okay.
All right.
What else do we need to cover
What
here?
else do we need to cover? I mean, I think obviously the big thing is we're super excited that Unrivaled is back. Sorry for getting off topic. What's new? I make outlines and we don't follow them. I don't either. I think there is an important cultural lens happening here though, because a lot of these player led leagues provide them with ownership, equity, autonomy, agency. these are kind of new paradigm shifts in sports. I think prior to the establishment of Unrivaled, which really like created the blueprint, it was really like you're just an employee of a billionaire. So now this sort of like essentially changes the business model and the paradigm for these athletes. And I'm curious to see how that plays out in terms of all of the things that we've talked about earnings capability, mental health, injury outcomes, all of these things. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
but yeah, I guess I'm also like, okay, I'm not surprised that experienced athletes that are wonderful leaders and that frankly are women are the ones that figured this out.
And they did it while they were doing so many other things. It's so impressive. It really is so impressive. They're both mothers, like Stewie and um Nafisa are both mothers.
Yeah.
They're both obviously like stars, leading stars of two of the best teams in the W. It's so fucking cool. I
It
don't
is.
know. I just like I girl crush on them so hard and like I crush on this idea and I just like I hope that they're really making out like bandits.
I hope so too. I really hope so too.
Anyway,
Anyway, good times, guys. Well, I guess this is it for this episode of Riding the Bench. This was such a fun little chat, and we will obviously continue to talk about things as they unravel with Unrivaled because it will be one of our favorite few off-season topics. And, it's just fun to see all of this growth in action. So let's hear your take. Come in the comments. Let us know. Would you play or invest in a player owned play or invest? I realize that sounded crazy. Would you play or invest in a player owned league? Curious to know your thoughts. If you're enjoying this conversation, please subscribe. And we'll be back next week with more fun deep dives into the culture and business and fun, exciting growth happening around women's sports. Bye, guys.
did you stop it? I can't
I
tell.
did. Now it's saying something went wrong.
No, it's still recording.
Are you able to stop the recording or do I? Okay. Perfect. Thank you. Oh, I know. Well, I was like, it's literally going to be dark in like half an hour. Okay. Let's go to our project. Well, I